My childhood best friend ghosted me for a guy, then reappeared 6 years later to ask if she could crash on my couch. I said yes. The next morning, she woke up to find her boyfriend making pancakes. For me, she showed up after 6 years, crying and broke, asking if she could crash. I let her in, no apology, no explanation. But the next morning, her boyfriend was making breakfast for me. And that's when the real show started. I'm Kayla, 30, female. And until about a month ago, I hadn't seen or heard from Elise, my childhood best friend, in 6 years. We met in second grade. She had curly red hair, a scraped knee, and the kind of laugh that made teachers stop talking mid-lesson. From age 7 to 24, Elise and I were joined at the hip. Sleepovers, shared lockers, late-night talks about boys and futures we couldn't yet imagine. She was more than a best friend. She was family. And then she ghosted me, vanished. No big fight, no dramatic falling out, just silence. It started with her dating this guy, Jordan. Tall, quiet. With that, I'm deep because I don't speak vibe. Elise was obsessed. At first, I tried to be supportive. She'd fallen hard. I got it. We were in our early 20s, people change, people fall in love, but it got weird fast. She stopped replying to texts. She bailed on plans. When I called, Jordan would answer and say she was busy, in this flat, almost annoyed tone, like I was interrupting something sacred. Eventually, I stopped calling, stopped reaching out. You can only shout into a void for so long before it starts to feel like begging. I grieved her, really grieved, like a breakup, like someone died. I saw her in old photos, heard her laugh in random songs. My therapist called it ambiguous loss. I called it bullshit. 6 years. That's how long it was. And then 3 weeks ago, I got a DM on Instagram. Hey, I know this is out of nowhere. I don't expect anything, but I'm in a rough spot and I didn't know who else to ask. Is there any chance I could crash on your couch for a couple days? I stared at the message for hours. The girl who ghosted me, who cut me off like I never existed, who chose a man over our lifetime of friendship, was now crawling back. I should have said no. But the thing about losing someone you loved that deeply, some tiny, reckless part of you still remembers the good, still hopes the best friend is buried in there, somewhere. So I said yes. She showed up at 8:42 p.m. with 2 garbage bags of clothes, tear-streaked cheeks, and not even a half-hearted apology. Just, thanks. You seriously saved me. No explanation. No, sorry for disappearing. Just plopped her stuff down and collapsed on my couch like she'd just come home from war. I offered her tea. She asked if I had tequila. That night, I barely slept. She was 5 feet away snoring under a throw blanket, and I was lying in bed wide awake, furious at myself for still caring. But the next morning, she walked into my kitchen, rubbing her eyes and wearing one of my old hoodies and froze, because there he was, Jordan, making pancakes for me. And he smiled when he saw her like she was just another Tuesday. Morning, Liz, he said, flipping a pancake. You hungry? Her face cracked so hard I thought she might shatter. She didn't answer him, just stood there, barefoot on the tile like the floor had gone radioactive. Her mouth opened, closed, no sound. I stayed seated at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, pretending my heart wasn't hammering like a jackhammer under my ribs. I'd rehearsed this moment in my head so many times, but I never pictured her showing up with greasy hair and bags under her eyes while he casually flipped pancakes in my kitchen. Jordan didn't flinch. You like banana or plain? He asked, nodding toward the pan like this was just another morning. She finally spoke. What the hell is this? And that's when I stood up. Elise, I said calmly, too calmly. Meet my boyfriend. Her eyes snapped to me. You're kidding. Nope. You're dating him? We've been seeing each other for about 8 months. Jordan smirked and added, 9, if you count the late-night walks. Her face went pale. You knew I was staying here. I figured it out when you walked in, he said. Bit of a surprise. You're lying. She looked at me like I'd stabbed her. Now, before you think I pulled some manipulative move and seduced my best friend's ex just for kicks. No, Jordan and I met at a friend's gallery show almost a year ago. I didn't recognize him at first. He looked different. Older, tired. He came up to me, offered a drink, and said, You're Kayla, right? Elise's best friend? I almost walked away then and there, but I didn't. We talked for hours. Not about Elise, not really. About music, travel, how much we hated modern dating apps. I went home that night confused and furious at myself for liking the way he listened. It took weeks for me to go out with him, and I made it clear. I didn't owe Elise anything anymore. She ghosted me, abandoned me. I didn't steal her boyfriend. She discarded both of us. Still, I knew this moment would come. Just didn't think it'd involve syrup and a hungover meltdown. Elise backed into the counter, gripping it like she needed to keep herself upright. So what? This is revenge. No, I said. This is breakfast. She blinked at me like she couldn't recognize the person standing in front of her. You don't get it. He ruined me. And you ruined me. I snapped, louder than I meant to. You disappeared. For him. You left me without a word. No explanation, no closure. For what? A guy who couldn't even look me in the eye when I called you crying after my dad died? Jordan lowered the heat on the pan. You don't get to show up after 6 years and play the victim, I said, shaking now. You ghosted me, not the other way around. But I was in love with him, she whispered. And I was in love with you, Elise, I said, finally saying it out loud. Not in some romantic way, but in that stupid, sacred way you love someone who knows all your childhood secrets. And you dropped me like a bad habit. For a second, she just stared, eyes glassy. Then her expression hardened. You don't get to act superior when you're sleeping with my ex. She turned and stormed out, slamming the front door so hard a framed photo fell off the wall. Jordan didn't say anything. I picked up the picture. It was of us, age 9, covered in cake and glitter. I placed it face down. I thought that would be the end of it. She was humiliated. She walked out. That should have been it. But of course, Elise never could let things end clean. Not in 2nd grade when she threw glitter in Heather Martin's eyes for calling me a crybaby. Not in high school when she mailed my cheating ex a glitter bomb shaped like a middle finger. And definitely not now. 2 hours later, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Missed calls, texts, notifications. Elise. What the actual fuck, Kayla? Elise. So you've just been playing house with him this whole time? Elise. Don't answer. I'm done. You're a snake. Elise. You think this is over? You don't know me anymore. She was right about that last part. I didn't know this version of her. The one who made everything about herself. Who turned her own betrayal into a sob story. Who showed up with nothing but trash bags and tequila breath and expected grace without even an apology. But she knew me well enough to guess exactly where I'd feel the sting. She posted a picture. Old photo. Us at 19, arms wrapped around each other in front of the bonfire at Lake Clearwater, cheeks flushed, drinks in hand. Captioned, trust no one, especially not the ones who smile while they're fucking your past. The comments exploded. I hadn't heard from half these people in years, but suddenly they all had opinions. People we went to school with, old coworkers, mutual friends from back in the day. Lines were drawn before I even had a chance to say anything. She took your man? Wow, Kayla? Low blow. Unfollowing. That's messed up. Oh, honey, that's not friendship. That's trauma bonding with a side of backstabbing. I wanted to scream. None of them were there when Elise vanished. None of them saw me crying in my apartment, trying to understand what I did wrong. None of them asked how I was when my dad died, and Elise didn't even show up to the funeral. Jordan offered to go full ghost mode, delete socials, change numbers, start over. But I said no. I wasn't going to hide. I posted one photo. Me, standing in my living room. Elise's trash bag still on the floor behind me. A single sentence as the caption, funny how she only remembers me when she's got nowhere else to sleep. No hashtags, no tags, no comments enabled. Just the truth, hanging in the open like a sheet on a clothesline. That night, someone egged my car. It wasn't subtle. 6 smashed eggs, 1 cracked side mirror, and a sloppily written note tucked under the wiper that just said, hope it was worth it. Jordan offered to pay for the damages. I told him not to. He wasn't the target. This was personal. I spent an hour scrubbing raw yolk off my windshield while the neighborhood kids rode their scooters past like nothing was wrong. And the whole time, I kept thinking one thing. She wanted war. She had no idea what I'd been saving. The next morning, I opened the shoebox. I hadn't touched it in years. It was shoved at the back of my closet, under old scarves and one of those heating pads you always forget you own until you're dying from cramps. Inside, printed screenshots, burned CDs, a flash drive, and the letter, the last one Elise ever wrote me. We were 24. The letter had arrived in a pale pink envelope. No return address, 3 weeks after she stopped answering my calls. It wasn't a full goodbye. It was worse. It was vague, full of, I need space, and you wouldn't understand. One line stood out even then. I found something real now. I need to follow where it takes me, even if it means leaving pieces behind. I'd folded it neatly, cried on it once, then packed it away. For closure, for proof. Now, it felt like ammunition. I found the flash drive and plugged it into my laptop. I didn't even remember what was on it, but as soon as it opened, I saw it all. Photos, voice notes, and a folder labeled NYC trip. Jordan was in every single one. These weren't just snapshots. These were the receipts. Elise always documented everything. Voice memos instead of journal entries. Half-sober confessions meant for future me to process. And she'd given me access to all of it once. Back when she trusted me. Back when I mattered. One file was from the night they made it official. I clicked play. Her voice, breathless, whispered, he said he loves me. I didn't even say it back right away. Isn't that crazy? I just smiled and thought, Kayla's gonna freak when she hears this. God, I hope she understands. I hope she still makes me her maid of honor, even if she thinks I'm crazy. I sat back and let the bile rise. Hope she still makes me her maid of honor. I'd been planning her future wedding in my head while she was ghosting me, while she was already choosing him over me. Jordan walked into the room and stopped when he saw my face. You okay? I looked up. Do you remember the NYC trip? He blinked. Barely. She got mad at me halfway through because I wouldn't take a picture in front of that bridge. She recorded a voice memo. Said she hoped I'd still make her my maid of honor. His jaw clenched. That trip was hell. She said it was the best week of her life. He walked over, rested a hand on my shoulder. I don't know what you're planning, but I've seen that look before. What look? The one you get right before you decide someone's not going to get away with what they did. I didn't respond. Just closed the laptop and whispered, she's about to find out what it feels like to be left behind. Update 1. South. I didn't expect that post to blow up like it did. I thought maybe a few people would read it and move on. Instead, I spent the last 24 hours watching strangers dissect my entire friendship history like it was a Netflix docuseries. Some of y'all had me laughing out loud. My favorite comment. Elise didn't ghost you. She exercised you like you were bad juju standing between her and mediocre dick. Iconic. DM me. We're getting margaritas. But then there were others. People calling me vindictive, saying I was no better than her, that I should have just said no when she asked to crash, that revenge isn't healing, that I should have known better than to get involved with her ex. And listen, maybe they're right. Maybe I am messy. Maybe I did light a match where I should have just walked away. But let me ask you something. Have you ever had someone you would have taken a bullet for treat you like you were nothing? Have you ever begged yourself to stop checking your phone every 5 minutes, hoping for a call that never came? Have you ever felt like your grief didn't count because it wasn't romantic? Because that's what Elise did to me. And now she's out here trying to spin it like I'm the villain? Nah. She egged my car. She nuked our mutual friend group with one Instagram caption. And she's been DMing my boyfriend. Yes, Jordan. Since she stormed out. Screenshots attached below. My favorite? You're better than her. You know that, right? He didn't respond. He just sent it to me, along with, want me to block her? And I swear, I stared at that message for a good 5 minutes before answering. Number, don't block her. Let her keep talking. Let her dig her own grave. Because here's the thing. I've been quiet for 6 years. Let her control the story. Let her disappear. Then reappear, like a storm I was supposed to be grateful for. But not anymore. So this weekend, I'm hosting a little reunion brunch. You remember that NYC trip folder I mentioned? Guess who else was on that trip? Our old friend group, Marissa, Deja, and Elle. The same people Elise just tried to turn against me. What they don't know yet is how that trip ended. The screaming fight. The night Elise left Jordan stranded 2 boroughs away and made me lie to cover for her. The voicemail she left Marissa calling Deja a jealous hag with no style. All of it's in the folder. Brunch is at my place, mimosas and memory lane. And Elise? She got an invite too. Let's see how good her memory really is. I wasn't even nervous the morning of the brunch, which should have scared me more than it did. There was this eerie calm in me, like the moment before a thunderstorm when the air goes heavy and quiet and everything holds its breath. That was me, hair curled, mimosa pitcher in hand, and a playlist of early 2010s hits humming in the background. Nostalgia on tap. Marissa showed up first, then Elle. Deja rolled in fashionably late with sunglasses and a smirk. We all hugged like nothing had happened, like the last 6 years hadn't turned us into strangers who only clicked like on each other's lives. We toasted. We laughed. And then Elise walked in. She was in her full Wounded Dove costume, oversized sweater, no makeup, eyes red like she hadn't slept, or like she wanted us to think she hadn't slept. Wow, she said, looking around. This is surreal. No one replied. She smiled too wide, like she could brute force her way back into belonging. Jordan wasn't there. He offered, but I said no. This wasn't about him. We sat in the living room. I handed out drinks, then said, real casual. So remember the NYC trip? Elise visibly tensed. Marissa snorted. Ugh, the Airbnb from hell. Deja raised an eyebrow. You mean the one where Elise left Jordan at that jazz club and made us all swear we didn't know where she went? Elise froze. That's not what happened. Elle cut in. Oh, really? Because I found your voicemail to Marissa the next morning. Called Deja a jealous wannabe. Called me a drunk sidekick. You don't remember that? Marissa tilted her head. Or when you said you were only hanging with Kayla because she made you feel like the smart one. Elise's mouth fell open. I pulled out the laptop, clicked on the audio file. Her voice filled the room, half laughing, half cruel. Honestly, I feel bad for Kayla sometimes. She clings to me like I'm her emotional support human. I swear, if I disappeared, she'd probably spiral. But hey, everyone needs someone worshiping them, right? The silence afterward was suffocating. Elise stood up, trembling. That was years ago. I was going through stuff. You don't know what it was like. I do know, I said, standing too. Because I was there. Until you decided I didn't matter. She turned to the others. You're really going to judge me for something I said in a private moment? For venting? Deja shook her head. No, Elise. We're judging you for never saying sorry. For coming back like we should just forget everything you broke. Her voice cracked then. I didn't have anyone else. And whose fault is that? I asked. She looked at me. Tears now. Mascara smudging into the face she once used to control every room we entered. You don't have to do this. I didn't. You did. She stormed out. No one followed. Later, Deja helped me wash the dishes. You knew this would happen, she said. I shrugged. I hoped it would. Marissa chimed in, sipping her fourth mimosa. Well, if nothing else, it was the most honest brunch we've ever had. The thing about Elise, she doesn't lose quietly. She didn't just disappear after the brunch. Oh no. That would have required introspection, humility, a shred of self-awareness. Instead, she doubled down. By Monday morning, every single one of us who'd been at that brunch had a novella-length DM from her, full of gaslighting and grief-baiting. To Marissa, I can't believe you're letting Kayla manipulate you like this. To Deja, I always defended you when people made fun of your clothes. Guess that was wasted effort. To me, I loved you like a sister. You took everything from me, including him, and now you've poisoned everyone else against me. But you won't win. You never do. The part that sent me over the edge, though, she showed up at my job. Let me paint this picture. I work at a mid-sized marketing firm. Open floor plan. Big windows. Co-workers who pretend to mind their business but track drama like bloodhounds. I was in a meeting when the receptionist buzzed my phone. Hey, there's someone here asking for you. Says it's urgent? I stepped out, and there she was. Elise, in a floor-length coat like she was auditioning for the role of unhinged ex in a made-for-TV thriller. She shoved a manila envelope at me. I want my stuff back. What stuff? I asked, genuinely confused. My voice notes, my photos, my letter. You had no right. Everything you gave me. Willingly, I said, keeping my voice low. She glanced around, noticing the curious stares from behind desks. You're trying to ruin me. You're doing that yourself. Her face twisted. You think you're the hero in this? No, I said. I just finally stopped playing your extra. Security had to walk her out, but it didn't stop there. That night, I got a call from my mom. Sweetie, why is Elise posting about you on Facebook? Something about betrayal and stolen relationships? I hadn't even seen it yet. She'd posted a long, public status. One of those cryptic rage rants where every sentence is like a dagger dipped in glitter. It's always the ones you trust the most who end up dancing on your grave. Funny how some people will sleep with your past and call it healing. Funny how the ones who begged for your friendship are the first to weaponize it. But keep playing the victim, Kayla. I've got screenshots too. Tagged, number. But anyone who knew us could read between those glitter-soaked lines. I didn't respond. Not publicly. But Jordan? He posted one thing. Just a photo. Of me. Holding the trash bag she arrived with 3 weeks ago, standing by the door. Caption. Trash belongs outside. It got over 300 likes. Even Marissa commented, took out the garbage and made brunch. Multitasking queen. Elise hasn't posted since, but I know her silence. She's planning something. She always does. Update 2. Well, some of y'all said she'd go nuclear, some of y'all hoped she would. Guess what? She did. I woke up Sunday to 14 missed calls, 9 voicemails, and 1 text from Deja that just said, "Girl, check Craigslist." So I did. There, under the free stuff section, free couch, electronics, designer clothes, moving and need gone today. Come grab whatever you want. First come, first serve. Address, my address. With 3 pictures of my actual living room, my couch, my bookshelf, my fucking cat tower. I couldn't even breathe. People had already shown up. 2 dudes in a pickup were halfway to loading my goddamn TV into their truck before Jordan sprinted out of the house yelling, "That's not free, that's my girlfriend's." We had to call the cops. The post was flagged and taken down eventually, but not before half my neighborhood saw it, and about 6 people walked off with random stuff from my porch, thinking it was part of the deal. A woman literally took my doormat. I confronted Elise. Called, texted, nothing. Dead air. So I did what she never expected. I went to her apartment, which, by the way, I only knew because she left a piece of mail in one of the trash bags when she moved in. I had snapped a picture of the label before tossing it, not even sure why. She answered the door in this smug little robe like she was on some Bravo reality show. "Oh," she said. "Kayla, finally embracing your villain era? You posted my address on Craigslist. I didn't say it was yours." I stepped forward. "But you used photos of my home, which makes it criminal misrepresentation at best, harassment at worst. Want to test which one the cops go with?" She rolled her eyes. "You're so dramatic. Like always, it was a prank. You tried to get my home looted. Cry me a river," she snapped, suddenly unhinged. "You stole everything from me. Jordan, my friends, my reputation. You think you're better than me just because you can play victim with a prettier face? That line. It was like acid, and I realized this was never about Jordan, or brunch, or old voice notes. This was about me being okay without her, thriving. So I smiled, pulled out my phone, pressed play. The screen lit up with a recording from our last confrontation outside my office. Her screaming about wanting her stuff, threatening to ruin me, caught in full HD glory. She froze. I've already sent copies to 3 people, I said, in case anything else of mine goes mysteriously missing. Her eyes flicked to the phone, then to me. Then, for the first time in this entire saga, I saw it. Fear. Not of me, but of consequences. You're crazy, she whispered. No, I said. I just finally got tired of being quiet. I left her standing there in her borrowed robe, door wide open, neighbors pretending not to stare. And when I got home, the doormat was back. No note, just sitting there like it never left. It's been 3 weeks, no more posts, no more drive-by DMS, no more eggs, Craigslist stunts, or crying voicemails at 2:13 a.m. Elise went quiet, but not before the final act. It came in the form of an email. Subject line, closure, for real this time. I hesitated before opening it. My hands were shaking, and not because I expected an apology. That ship had sunk 6 years ago and was now collecting barnacles at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, but because part of me was still stupid enough to hope for a human moment. It wasn't an apology, it was a rewrite, an elaborate, delusional narrative in which she was the misunderstood phoenix who tried to be a good friend but got burned by betrayal. She painted me as the emotionally possessive one, said Jordan had always been conflicted and I manipulated him during a vulnerable time, claimed I weaponized the group against her, and turned a private mental health spiral into a public stoning. I closed the email halfway through, because I didn't need it. I already had what I came for, because the thing is, revenge isn't always fire and chaos. Sometimes the most brutal revenge is living in a way that contradicts every lie they ever told about you. So I started unfollowing. One by one, I quietly removed every leftover relic of our shared history from my socials, my space, my psyche. I blocked Elise, not out of spite, but out of peace. I deleted old voicemails, burned the letter, donated the trash bag clothes to a women's shelter. But the flash drive? I kept that. Not for revenge, not for leverage, but to remember, to remind myself what gaslighting sounds like, what betrayal tastes like, what it feels like when someone chooses silence over love. And Jordan? He asked me, over sushi on our couch last night, do you think you'll ever talk to her again? I said no, but not because I hate her, because I'm finally full. This hollow she left in me, it used to echo with all the things I didn't say. Now, it's quiet, and that silence is mine. She couldn't help herself. Of course she couldn't. 2 months of silence, not a whisper, not a sighting, not a second-hand mention. Then, last Saturday, I got a wedding invitation, hand-delivered. I found it wedged in my door frame, wrapped in vellum and tied with twine like it was a Pinterest board come to life. The return address said E and C in gold script. I opened it on my porch, still holding my grocery bags. Inside, Elise and some guy named Caleb. Never heard of him, but apparently they're in love now. Wedding in October, no gifts, just vibes. And the kicker? Kayla, it would mean the world to me if you came. You were such an important part of my journey. I truly believe healing is possible if we choose it. Hope to see you there. Love, Elise. I stood there, reading it over and over, trying to figure out which planet you had to be on for this to make sense. She wasn't inviting me. She was daring me to show up, to give her closure, to prove that I wasn't the villain she'd rewritten me as. But I don't play those games anymore. So I did something that maybe doesn't sound like revenge to anyone else. But it was perfect. I RSP'd online, checked the little box, will attend, waited until the week before the wedding, and then I sent a gift. Not a toaster, not money, but a printout of her Craigslist free stuff post, framed professionally, with the caption, "Thought you might want to remember what healing actually looks like. No return address, just closure wrapped in twine."